Okay, so today I wanted to show you how to make pecan pie. And I took two 9-inch round pie shells from the grocery store, frozen pie shells. Not the deep dish, but just the regular pie shells. Same kind of pie shells we use for the pumpkin pie. And those turned out fabulous. Tastes really good. But I let them thaw out. I let them sit here on the stove, thaw out. I set my oven on preheat. 350 to preheat the oven. Okay, now I have about 1 cup of chopped pecans over here, and I'm just going to throw those in. Now you don't want them chopped up too small, too tiny, so I just kind of chopped them a little. I guess coarsely chopped, I guess you might say. Alright, now let's move that out of the way. So 1 cup of chopped pecans, and then I'm going to do 1 cup of whole, what I call the pretty pecans, because they're not broken or anything like that. So I have 1 cup chopped pecans and 1 cup that's going to decorate the top. So it's actually 2 cups of pecans. Anyways, I'll go ahead and get this started. I'm just going to start with a half a stick of butter, and I'm going to melt that over here on this other eye that you can't really see. But that's okay. It's just a half a stick of butter. I'm just going to melt that real quick. And we're going to get started making these pies. Now, pecan pies are a little bit different in the way that they cook. You know, with the pumpkin pie, if you watch that video, I took a toothpick and kind of checked the middle of them. Well, with pecan pies, they're gooey, and you can't really do that. So, we're going to do it a little bit different here. Now, let me get something else. So anyways, it's 2 cups chopped pecan, or 1 cup chopped pecans and 1 cup regular whole pecans for this recipe. But I just got them right out of the freezer. You can freeze pecans, by the way, and they'll stay fresher longer. I like to do that. I like to get the pecans and then freeze them. That way for holidays or anything like that, I can have them on hand. If you can't get them on hand, then the grocery store has some great ones, great chopped pecans or whole pecans. I buy the whole ones because they're a little bit cheaper and a little bit better for what I'm doing. It all depends on what you're doing with them. Now, I'm just going to take, this recipe is really easy for me to remember because it's all a half a cup, okay? Almost all of it's a half a cup. This is a half a cup of regular granulated sugar, and then I'm just going to take a half a cup of brown sugar, and brown sugar kind of clumps up if you've ever baked with it before, so I just kind of spoon it in there and kind of mash it down because it kind of clumps up. It's very clumpy, very gooey and sticky. But that's what makes your pies turn out so good. Okay. Now, we've got a half a cup, well, almost a half a cup, a little more. Half a cup of brown sugar, and we're just going to kind of pack it down and see if it's really a half a cup. And it is, so just kind of throw it in there and kind of, there you go, break it up a little bit. It kind of just clumps up on you. Now, I'm going to start, let's see, let's check our butter. Okay, turn the butter off because it's almost melted. Now, I'm going to take 3 eggs and go ahead and crack them in a bowl for you. So, it's a half a cup of white sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar, 1 cup chopped pecans, and then 3 eggs, okay? And for this recipe, you don't just want to throw the eggs in there. You kind of want to go ahead and scramble them or beat them. You kind of want to go ahead and just scramble them up before you start putting in the wet ingredients. So I've got all my dry ingredients. I'm just going to take a fork and kind of scramble them up. Just like that, before you throw it into this mixture, so you know that it gets stirred properly. Now, let's give my hands a quick rinse because that egg was a little messy. Okay, I got another fork because for this recipe, you are going to want to perforate the pie shells a little bit so that your mixture doesn't cook faster than your pie shells. But you just want to lightly kind of perforate it with a fork. If you have a perforator, you can use that and kind of lightly do it on the pie crust. These pies, pecan pies, pecan, I get picked on if I say one or the other, but that's a whole nother topic. Anywho, pecan pies are kind of picky, so you kind of have to be a little more picky, a little more precise with them if you want them to turn out well. And with this recipe, they will turn out very well. You just have to stick on this one. You can make some changes with other recipes, but not with this one, because seriously, they're seriously picky pies. But you just want to get them perforated a little bit, so your mixture doesn't cook faster than your pie shell. That's the whole reason behind it. But then we'll get right back to making the filling. Now these take probably after you prep time, I would say prep time less than 15 minutes, and then cook time 45 minutes, maybe a little longer. You always want to check them at about 45 minutes, because seriously, if they burn, then they're no good. Then the whole pie will taste burnt. Okay, so don't burn them. You got to pay attention when you're baking. I know I said when I started doing YouTube that I didn't do a lot of baking, but for the holidays, I guess I do a lot of baking. And if there's something that you guys want me to bake or ask me or anything about cooking, feel free to comment. Feel free to ask. I will, if I can't get to your questions and comments right away, I will try my best, certainly, to try to get to it. Anyway, that's all done, perforated. Done with that. Okay, now, the butter that we melted, we're going to wait a few minutes on that. Now, we're going to go ahead and start with our light corn syrup for these pies. Now, let's go back, let's recap in case you were writing it down. It is a half a cup of chopped pecans, a half a cup of just regular sugar, half a cup of brown sugar, okay? And then you're going to take a half a cup of the light syrup, corn syrup. Make sure it's all a half a cup. Now I'm going to be baking these again come Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is still 2 weeks away. But that's okay. We can go ahead and do this now. The kids enjoy it. It's a nice surprise for them when they get home. Alright, that syrup, see, it's a little sticky, a little gooey, but that's okay, because we're going to go ahead and do our dark syrup, our dark corn syrup, or Karo syrup, whatever you want to call it. Same thing. Those two things are the same. That's what makes your pie so good. So you take a half a cup of light corn syrup and a half a cup of dark corn syrup. See, so everything is almost half a cup, half a cup, half a cup, and half a stick of butter. So you're going to just put that in there. We're going to scrape that out a little bit with a spoon just to make sure that syrup gets in there, because it takes forever if you just let it drip. Okay? Alright. Now, that's all done. And then we're going to take just a half a teaspoon of vanilla. I use the pure vanilla extract. I do a half a teaspoon in my pies because the corn syrup has a light taste of vanilla to it. So I don't want too much vanilla in it. So I'll use a half a teaspoon of that. Now we're going to take our melted butter that got melted down, and we're going to just pour it in just like that. Okay? And then our eggs. I'm going to take our beaten eggs, 3 eggs beaten, and my spoon slid down in there. That's not good. Not good. Okay, wait, let's get another spoon. Well, Okay, I was not prepared for that. 1 second. Okay. Now, we have another spoon. Yay, another spoon. Okay, 3 eggs beaten. Okay, now you don't want to use a mixer with this. You just want to go ahead and mix it by hand. Just make sure that it all gets mixed up really good, because that syrup is like hard to stir. And you kind of want that syrup to, the syrup and the sugar to kind of dissolve down. Okay, a little bit while you're stirring it. But you just want to make sure that everything gets stirred all in there. Okay. Stir it until the sugar, until you don't feel the sugar at the bottom. The sugar should blend. Okay, back to what I was saying. I was saying the sugar should blend well with the syrup. And you just want to stir it until that kind of happens. Okay, till you don't feel it on the bottom of the bowl anymore. Make sure it's all mixed very, very well. This is going to be a good pie, but this is a great filling for the pie. Okay, now, same as I did with the pumpkin. Wait, let's do a little bit more because I still feel it lumpy. And you can feel it with the spoon, it's kind of lumpy. Okay, that should be the consistency. It should be very syrupy, very runny. Okay, that's going to be the consistency of your pie when it's like this. And it is very, very sticky. Okay, that syrup, that corn syrup makes it very, very sticky. Alright, so we're going to try to pour these in the pie shell without making a huge mess. Okay, and if I make a huge mess, I'll clean it up, of course. But anyway, go ahead and I do it half and half. This is just an easier way to get it evened out for me without it being too much in one pie shell and too little in the other. Okay, like that, and it's gonna halfway fill up your crust, not all the way. Okay, we still need a little for the other pie, and that's okay because the egg is gonna make it bake just a little. I mean, it's not gonna bake up like a cake, of course, because it's a pie, but it is gonna, you know, bake ever so slightly. Maybe not rise. Rise is not the right word. Okay. Now that we've got our pie filling in the pie shell, this is always a good thing. I'm going to take this sticky bowl and run it under some water immediately. Okay, let's run that under some water. Alright, now, what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of take these and kind of decorate the top a little bit. You want them to kind of be pretty and festive for your holiday gathering. So I just kind of sit them on top. If you smush them down in there, they're not going to look exactly how you want them to. But you can design the top however you'd like. This is just what we've always done in our family. And it seems to work out quite well, and it seems to make a really pretty pie. Just kind of sit them to where they kind of float on top. Now I'm going to do like a little pretty little something in the middle. Like that. And this is the way that it should look when you do it. It's going to be sticky and gooey and everything else. That was a broken one, but that's okay because it'll kind of sink down in there a little bit. Alright, now we are ready for our pies to go in the oven. And like I said, baking time is going to be about 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, depending. But you're going to, uh-oh, that one flipped. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. But baking time is going to be about 45 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer. If it's a deep dish, of course, cook it longer. If you're using one deep dish pie shell, this mixture will fit in one deep dish pie shell if you want to do that. But then on the cook time is going to be like an hour and maybe an hour and 15 minutes. So I like doing it this way because you come up with two pies, which of course, you know. Okay, so my camera cut off earlier, so sorry for that. But what I was going to say is when you put the pies in the oven, they might slosh around a little bit. But that's okay. You know, just try to have a steady hand. That's why I put them on the baking dish. But this is what your pecan pies should look like when they come out of the oven. Now, you want to let them cool for an hour, hour and a half before putting them in the refrigerator or before serving them on your kitchen table, because you want them to have time to set. You want to have time for that syrup to kind of set and gel up a little bit for you, so you can cut them and they won't be runny. But yeah, this is what your pies look like. Here, let me see if I can't get it better. That's what they look like, both of them. Very nice, very pretty, very festive for Thanksgiving. I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks. Oh yeah, and one more thing. If you'd like to see more videos like these, or if you'd like to see me cook something different, then feel free to, you know, write whatever you want in the comments to, you know, tell me what you want me to cook. Or feel free to like, subscribe, share with all your friends and family. Thank you.